I could have just... Whatever. Hey, it's Shaves, and welcome to another expedition of the Anime Encyclopedia. Now let's see if that looks okay. I'm even more sensitive now than ever, now that I finally am caught up on the time codes for the VODs. Yay. But obviously that meant I definitely, so I finished Digest at like 2 p.m. or something. Like, really late. And, but I was still like, oh, waste another day, especially because Friday, I didn't think I would have time to read and do like as I wanted to. So I did Digest and then kind of sat there and waited for more videos to come in, and they didn't really. And like I finished Nadesco, so that was productive use of my time in my opinion. But I wasn't super satisfied. And then I wake up this morning thinking I'm going to go to work from 9 to 4. And then so then it's like, all right, I'll record Digest and upload it, by the time I'll be done by that'll take up my whole day. But then weather, I guess it's not happening, so say less. And I did Digest. It's 3 hours. It's still processing on YouTube. Processing HD, which is always the nebulous, it'll be done when it's done. There's never a good time period. God, YouTube. Love the platform, but other people have worse problems with it, but that's always my rub. But I guess I can't complain. I'm uploading a 3-hour video. Gonna be used to that, I guess, lately. But I did that and recorded it and got it all done by 2, and I'm just like, let's do the encyclopedia. But I can't, I didn't want to, start to get into it. I didn't know how much I could actually do. I didn't know how many errors. You never know with these things. So I was like, why don't I do my normal thing where I got caught up to the time codes finally. And then I went through the whole list and marked which ones are from the 3rd edition and which ones are from the 1st, which is always what I do. Like the very first thing I do for the letters. And then I wrote down a list, as I went through, the short and long. I also did the long and short thing, keeping track of that, because that's kind of mindless and easy, and I can just, listen to Trash Taste or something as I do that. But then, yeah, I went through and was like, these are titles that I know about or I would be interested in reading. But then I only managed to get through the 1st edition worth of stuff. Some of those titles are kind of a lot, and they wrote a lot, so... I have those, and I wrote down all the different, whether it was an opinion, something that was changed, odd choices, anything, for just those entries. And I thought if that doesn't take an hour, hour and a half or something, we can also read some of the entries, which the last one we did was a while ago. I don't remember this particular VOD, but it was a while ago that we've read one of their articles that are in this encyclopedia. So I have a couple that are upright that I have pulled up that we could read, maybe up to 4. 4 different articles, but we'll see gauging on time. Anyway, good to see everyone here. Greg, Aldai, Hell Senpai. Hi, how do you do? Been watching Crayon Kingdom. Ooh, yeah. Nice. I gotta get to that. Guys, separate thing. I didn't feel like didn't feel like it was something I could tweet. I didn't feel like it was something I could put on on Discord. But I was holding, and it's also I don't know if this will actually be something I commit to, but I gotta show you guys. This is a non sequitur. I have made, where the heck is it? Oh yeah, it's in this file. So this I'll have to put that on OBS. One sec. My notes. And actually, yeah, it just pulled up One Piece. There you go. This is One Piece 1 year. This is just my the plan. I have some stray notes and basically how I was pacing One Piece out. My watch for it. Sorry, let me finish reading chat. Wow, my first time catching the stream. Been going back and watching these VODs while I do homework. Great stuff. Thank you, Hell Senpai. I'm glad you're enjoying them. Hi, greetings as always. Hey, good, Guastp. I don't know if that's pronounced Guastp. Yeah. But I want to show you guys. I wanted to show somebody because I don't know. I was excited about it. I don't know. finally I get to show up on a stream live in the beginning. Oh, hey, Annalisa, good to see you. Um, yeah, so this thing, it's unrelated to the encyclopedia, but like, I just wanted to show somebody. I love watch plans and like deciding when I'm watching. And after One Piece, it's like, what's the next big thing, right? And for me, I've been doing one episode of Mecha a day. And so I wanted to do this similar thing for Magical Girls next year. Like, finally get to some of these really big titles. And I made the terrible discovery, sometime earlier this year, that Sailor Moon, Ako-chan, and Sally the Witch were all 200 episodes. That's not including Crystal. There's, that's like the first 5, that's the first major 5 seasons of Sailor Moon, 200 episodes. Sally the Witch is like 197 combined with the 2 series combined. And Ako-chan is 3 series, I believe, but totals about 200. So those are really, like, kind of the big 3. Like, there's other ones that are probably just as, if not more important. Maybe Creamy Mommy with in creating the kind of the idol genre, magical girl idol type of thing. That's a pretty big deal. I'll get to that at some point. But those 3, I was like, oh, I like that idea. And there's other magical girl series, Saint Tail, Kaito John, Futaro One, Cutie Honey. Those are like the big 4 that I've been meaning to get around to. I heard really good things about Kaito John from Hayden. Saint Tail just looks so good. So cute. Futaro, classic, like the OG Precure. I think that's important. And it has like Igarashi on it, and so I want to check out that. And then Cutie Honey, because it's, important, but also want to check out Cutie Honey Re. But I would want to watch the original as well. The last 20 episodes of Crayon Kingdom aren't subbed. I'm in that section. I've been fine so far. I can kind of see why the translators stopped where they did. New plot now. Oh, interesting. That's weird that they just stopped. Oh well. Psychopaths are a guy with Spice World right next to it. Yeah, I'll explain that. Yeah, hold on. Oh yeah, because they're 200. They were long 5-season-ish episodics that monopolized the timing. I still haven't seen any Precure. That'll keep me busy for a while, huh? So 3 episodes of Mahou Shoujo a day will be the Yeah. So here's the thing. This is total 4 episodes of anime a day, no matter whatever it is. It's all connected and everything. It's all interlocked or whatever. It's paced. So Route A are just, I literally yesterday I was bored and I was on a voice chat with Lone Crit, and I went on the most popular tag on Kitsu and just went through all of them, like, which ones haven't I seen that I should probably get to by now? I was like, why haven't I seen Steins Gate yet? Why haven't I seen Kill la Kill yet? And just those. And obviously there's more. Obviously there could be way more, but it was just that group. But it was also Monogatari, the Fate series, and these 4 series by not all of them are KyoAni, but Azumanga but those 4 as well. But all 4 of those are kind of in a similar vein and are in the same length. So I want to bunch those together as a quad, but I'll watch it kind of in a different way than I usually watch quads. But yeah, this Route A, this totals 364 episodes. So this would be 1 episode of one of these shows a day. Not each, but like I'd watch Steins Gate and then I'd watch all Psychopaths and so on and so forth. I could, change the order or whatever, but I'd basically go through all these shows 1 episode at a time, 1 episode a day. Then yeah, Mahou Shoujo, this would last me till July 19th if I watched 3 episodes a day. Basically, 1 of Sailor Moon, 1 of Ako-chan, 1 of Sally. Or I could do like 21 of Sailor Moon, 21 of the, I could do them in it could depend. But basically that would be how it paces pretty much. Or I could, all of Sailor Moon, all of Sally the Witch, all of Ako-chan, maybe. I don't know. I kind of want to watch all 3 of them at the same time though. And then, yeah, then this would basically, these 4, which is the same, like 1 a day of this, then this, then this, then this. And that would last me to the end of the year. So this together is 364-ish episodes. I'll catch up on chat in a sec. There's a lot of people talking. It's exciting, which is exciting. I'm happy. And then this 3rd route was kind of the other stuff. Because I'm also a fucking mad. Like, I could have just done this. I really could have just done this. It would have been fine. But this only, of course I'm not saying, God. Because, you see, this would be 4 if I did just this, this would be 4 episodes a day, which is what I've been doing this year. But then when I switch to this, it would only be 2 episodes a day, because I'm only doing 1 episode of this and 1 episode of these. So I have 2 episodes worth to spare. So right when I'm finished with this giant block on July 19th, starting July 20th, I could start Route C. You see what I mean? It's so dorky and like complicated, but I couldn't just tweet this or whatever, but I had to explain it, you know? But yeah, the Monogatari series, to my knowledge, the last time I counted was 77 episodes or installments. That includes the 3 movies, etc. The Kizumonogatari movies. I believe it's 77 installments. I could also be missing some other things, some slight Kiyomi Monogatari, but like whatever, certain things like that. And this is all I want to watch from Fate. I want to watch Dean because it covers one of the major. There's 3 major routes of Fate that you could take, and Dean adapts one of them. Unlimited Blade Works adapts the second one, and Heaven's Feel adapts the third one. So I want all 3. And then Carnival Phantasm I've just been like interested in for a long time because it's funny. I've already seen Fate Zero. I've already seen the 2nd season of that too. Not interested in watching it again. But Carnival Phantasm just seems like fun, and it's only 12 episodes. And the last 13 episodes to round out to be perfectly 77, I couldn't believe it, would be Emiya from the Menu or whatever. That just seems like slice of life, like cute, looks good, fun, and I'm interested. This is what I'm interested in Fate. And so each of those is 77 each. And that would complete basically one another. That would be 1 episode day of Monogatari from July to October, and then from October to December is Fate Stay Night. And then so this is just like 1 episode a day. So now I still have 1 episode a day left to fill to make it 4 days, 4 episodes a day. And so that will be first Nichijou. Basically Nichijou and Monogatari kind of stay together almost. Not quite, doesn't quite line up. But it'll be 1 episode a day of each of these. And that'll last me till September 22nd. And then the last 2, I tried to get something that, because this ends like December 9th, and it'd be like, oh, there's 22 episodes I could squeeze. But there really wasn't any like 1 cours or 2 cours or that I'm like super like, oh my god, finally to get to. Maybe there'll be something, but also this can be a nice breathing room in case this doesn't quite go to plan, which it very well couldn't. I don't know. I figure it's fine. But Hidamari Sketch and Hyogemono, I thought that was fair. So that would cover that latter half. So that's basically the plan. And yeah, I don't know. It looks pretty stacked. I'm excited about it. This looks really cool. And it probably won't happen. I remember trying to do this Shaft. I tried watching some Shaft shows, I think this year. I think I did watch Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei in 2022. Let me just check. Oh no, I tried it 2021 last year. God, that was a while ago. Doesn't feel a while ago. But I just noped out of it. It was the first season. I'm like, that's enough for me. I got kind of intimidated on trying to do the rest of Shaft. There's a couple Shaft. This is Monogatari. There's Hidamari Sketch. Might be some other one. I don't think so. Anyway, let's finally catch up on chat a little bit before we. And this is okay for me if like stalling to get to the actual encyclopedia because there's not too much. I only read for like 2 hours. Let's see. Yeah. Creamy Marmy is probably much bigger in Japanese consciousness since the solidified Pierrot as the idol magical girl company. Oh yeah. No, I get that it's important, but I'll get to it. I don't know. There's also Minky Momo. I would want to watch Minky Momo too. Probably alongside Creamy Marmy because they actually have a duel in one of the like an OVA where there's a crossover. I watched Hime-chan no Ribbon recently. Yeah. Oh yeah. Futaro Paprika is a big banger soundtrack. Yeah. I need to actually dedicate my time to Precure, but I'm still on the Kamen Rider train too much. Oh, that's fair. I watch Kamen Rider as a separate thing with my roommates. They come over and we watch a couple episodes. We're watching Geats right now as it comes out. We watched Revice as it came out. That was our first seasonal one. That was great. We loved Revice. I loved Revice too. Not just we as a collective. And Geats is good. Geats is interesting. And we're trying to finish Drive, but we keep not. We haven't watched Drive in like a month. Um, Cucho Barranco sticks out a bit. Oh, sure. That's just one that I saw in like my collage and other things that I've made in the past of like things I'm interested in and really want to get to. So that was one I was like, oh yeah, because that's like a one core that I wanted to watch. Uh, love seeing Kill la Kill and Katana Gatari in the yeah, Katana Gatari again. Like it was Cucho Barranco, Katana Gatari, and Panty Stocking that was not in that list of popular anime at the time. By that point it was just like I don't really care about a lot of these, you know. I vaguely heard of Oliver Day, if not actually watched them except that one. I love Monogatari and a lot of those others. Kill la Kill, Steinscape. I did 6 episodes of Magical Girl shows per day for a couple months, but then I burnt out. Oof. I mean, yeah, 6 a day is a lot, especially when it's episodic. I'm worried. I am worried about the 3 episodes for Sally, because Sally and Akatron are mostly unsubbed too. They're fucking raw. So I don't know how that's gonna go. Route A looking lit. I'm almost done with my own project of just shonen targeted magical girls. I just need to marathon Gramblem before I plan things for things like Ray Earth. Yeah. I'm happy Sailor Moon is getting new Blu-rays. I don't know if they fixed the problems people have with the old ones. Those. It seems like they have. I think they posted a comparison and it looked good. Not putting Prilia on Fate. Oh, no thanks. Treat the Kyoyomi Momonogatari as an extra OVA type of short stories, except the last 3, which are plot important. Ugh, whatever. Or half of Carnival Phantasm is Tsukihime jokes. Yeah, I don't care. It seems like fun. I know, but I don't care. I'll be fine. A new Nya listing bundles all of Monogatari in one package. You might use it. Yeah, I saw that. I didn't save it or bookmark it, but I can probably look for it again. But yeah, that's probably what I'll use. Maybe not the order. People are gonna be mad at me. I'm gonna do broadcast order. People are gonna be mad at me, but I don't know. Seems like people loved it, and I would want... Kisu seems like the thing that I want the series to culminate to, that I'm looking forward to at the end. You know what I mean? I know it's not there's a chronological, there's the way the books are and stuff like that. That's okay. I think I want to go the route a lot of fans end up falling in love with the anime, right? A lot of them found Monogatari through this anime, which they probably watched, that direction, Though I get it. There's arguments for the other one. I'd probably, there's probably perfectly fine for, I don't know. I hope so. I also wanted to rewatch Monogatari with the audio commentary while the seiyus are in character. So is this what you're planning out you're watching as if it were a job? Yeah, you could say that about it being a job, but I do that so that I actually do it. So that it's like working out. I make it so that, I have to do it Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And if I do it, I miss it, and I also have a trainer that I'm doing it once a week with, and there's a commitment to that. And that allows me to still do it, make sure I keep doing it. The schedule is something that helps me getting through these things, and it's just like I feel like watching anime, because I feel very committed to the medium. I really want to experience as much of it as possible, and so I want to dedicate that time to it. And so, yeah, there's a job aspect to it, but the difference, I think, compared to, say, a content creator, I am not watching these for the sake of making something that will then get me money. I'm not trying to watch something hoping that I have something to say that I can turn into a usable YouTube title and thumbnail that I can generate revenue from. That's a very, very different game. I'm watching it for fun. I'm watching these for my own interest, intrigue, enjoyment. And just the schedule is kind of what I have to do. Not because it's the same thing with Digest. It's exactly the same with Digest. I would not have nearly as much motivation to watch these, my own friends that I talk, that I'm mutuals with and that we, whatever. I would not have the same motivation if I didn't have Digest. And I don't even do Digest necessarily for monetary gain, although it's, those patrons who are in the Discord, who are in the live chat right now, I am charging for this. I am charging for this digest because it's 3 hours, and it's the one you get. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's fair. I'll make a point of that. I don't know, but maybe not the best place to announce that here. But whatever. Too late. Post One Piece scheduling to fill the void. Oh. To fill the void? I mean, yeah, this is pretty much it. This is what's left, really. Although this certainly isn't the case. They're not on 10:55 by now. Maybe by December. I doubt it. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I'm almost done catching up with chat. I like reading the whole chat. Fate Extra is one of the best characters in all the franchise. Yeah, fair. I recently finished collecting Monogatari on Blu-ray, and then they announced chapter bundles. Yeah, you told me about that. I might actually buy my... I met Nero. I actually love... sorry. I actually love Sayonara Setsubo. I gotta come back to it since I fell off mid-season 2. L time. You could see awesomeismo. Mickey Momo Bridge over Dreams says, yes, it is. I did not like Revice. That's okay. I heard some people didn't like it, but I was a real big fan. I don't know if you took into account Katanagatari. Oh yeah, no, I know about that, but I'm not considering it. Like, I know like 3 of these entries for Fate the Feel are movies, so I'll just especially if Katanagatari's 1 episode a day, it's fine. Geats is pretty good. Also, don't watch Drive and Ghost in the Shell at the same time. Watched Ghost as it was airing and picked up Drive. The similarities are noticeable. Ah! Yeah, because they all came out once a month to add up to a full year's. Sally, when it's subbed in Russian, you can try convincing me to yell it. That's okay. I mean, if you want to, Victor, that's cool. That's great. On you. But I'm not going to be like, oh, please, Victor. You know. I don't want anyone to force anyone like that. I watch Monogatari in broadcast order. Don't worry, Shaves. Broadcast order is always the correct order to watch, no matter what they say. Tried to watch all of Tenchi. That project fell apart once I get to the new stuff. Yeah, Drax. I was thinking about. I'm eyeing Tenchi. Hazel's video really convinced me, being like, I should watch Tenchi. It should not be something to avoid. I don't think I'll watch all of it. It does seem like the later stuff, who cares? Like the charm is gone. The thing that made it so popular and like the reason people copy off of it, it's not there anymore. All the people left, that kind of thing. It seems like there's a certain amount you can watch, and that's fine. And then it's okay. You know what to watch, you know? So I'll probably watch a very precise amount, and only if I really, really like it will I try that other stuff out. We found a Monogatari through the time Shaft ran out of budget and ran completely black screens, audio for only 12 minutes. Broadcast order only seems great to me in retrospect. Actually seems great to me in retrospect. That's good. Live on TV. Broadcast is kind of fire. Fine. Kind of fire. Haha, remember that time in Keys Monogatari that totally should have come up by now? Yeah, but like, I know that will happen, but I'm excited for that, to look forward to that. That's something that like a lot of fans were waiting and clamoring for, and they clearly delivered. The 3 movies are insane. So, I'm happy people are encouraging me about the broadcast order. It's funny about that black screen stuff. Okay. So let me finally. Oh, yeah. Done notes. Okay. So so I only did so much. There's really not much here, but we already talked for about a half hour. It's nice. This is the short entries of that I've listed that were like 6 lines or less. The only one that was like notable to me was Totemo Lucky Man. But I kind of get that because it's still kind of a obscure title, all things considered. It's not subbed to my knowledge, but that's still like a jump title that I recognize. You know what I mean? But the rest of them, it's like, yeah, I get it. And then these are the long entries. Lupin the Third was 240 lines. I think that it's either that one or Gundam that has the record. Like freaking hell. And yeah, such and such. I didn't note any ones that were like, oh, that's weird that it's less than 40 or anything like that. Anyway, these are the ones I wanted to read, but I didn't get to, that are from the 3rd edition in particular, that I thought were like recognizable enough as like, oh, I know that show. I would be interested in hearing what they say about it, type of deal. But these are the ones from the 1st edition. It's a pretty good selection, though. Okay. All right, so Laughing Salesman. You guys, I don't know if you know Laughing Salesman, right? Kenny's talked about it, had that big video on it. There's that remake that came out in 2018 or so. This is their description of it. I need to put my thing down, so hold on a sec. I have a standing desk and it's not at the right height because I look really low right. Okay, it doesn't look like that messed up the mic. That's good. Sometimes when I do that, it just wobbles with the mic, so. Oh no, someone else is going to clown on my girl, not Lyrical Nanaha. We could read that. I haven't read it, so I don't know what they said about it. But Laughing Salesman. You guys know the premise for Laughing Salesman, right? Here's their premise. The miserable life of a salesman whose wife only cares about golf is played for laughs in this long-running series. Concentrating, and then they give a little bit more about Fujiko Fujio, of like the writer, and it's the same guy as Doraemon and stuff. And then it's concentrating on the cheerful way that the psychotic salesman took out his midlife crisis on his co-workers with an extensive campaign of blackmail and extortion. That's just not it. Like, they have some details right, that yeah, it's a salesman and he's psychotic and, you know, he's tormenting other people with a campaign of blackmail and extortion, I guess. But this is just not the premise of Laughing Salesman. When did he have a wife who only cares about golf? I haven't seen the full series yet, but, like, I saw the remake. And in there, he didn't have a wife. Does he have a wife in the full show? Like, sometime in a later episode? Like, I didn't even see the first episode of the original series. What are they talking about? And it's not just his co-workers. It's anybody. It's this is just not the synopsis. Good old Laughing Salesman. One of my friends made me watch it. It's a bit too mean-spirited for a kid's variety show deal. Yeah, it's really mean-spirited. It's hard for me to stomach. I assume Nanaha would be an M. Yeah, no. I think they put Lyrical Nanaha. Yes, they did. They try to chop off all of the like all of the prefixes if it's a trifecta, if it's like a tritone name, like Space Runaway Ideon is listed in I for Ideon, Mobile Suit Gundam, Revolutionary Girl Utena, Neon Genesis Evangelion Evangelion. So Lyrical Nanaha, I guess it's going to be in there. If I don't know why it wouldn't be an N, but I guess because it's a name or something, whatever. Magic doesn't exist. What? That's not Laughing Salesman, is it? No, it definitely is. Let me double check the let me double check the entry for you. Laughing. Okay. No. Well, I guess. Did I pull up Mal? I guess so. Okay. Laughing Salesman, 1989. Wawaru Salesman. I mean, I'm not gonna go out and look up the Mal for this because I already know it's 89. I already know it's Wawaru Salesman. I know that it's Fujiko Fujio, who is the same guy as Doraemon. Because yep, these have Doraemon designs. It is definitely what they're talking about, and there it is. Whose wife only cares about golf is played for laughs in this long-running series, and you know, has some other things about Fujiko Fujio, which occasionally showed episodes of The 808 Distress. Some episodes were also edited into the feature-length movie. Concentrating on the cheerful way that the psychotic salesman took out on his midlife crisis on his co-workers with an extensive campaign of blackmail and extortion. Bruh. Bruh, that's just not... It's not it. That just isn't it. They have to be missing two different shows up. They have the whole, like, Fujio. It's like, yep, it's splitting his work from partners. Yeah, it's definitely by Black Salesman by Moto. Yeah. I don't know how else they would be mistaking it. Sorry, I put this, light my face up. I don't think Laughing Salesman was aimed at kids, more like adolescents. I want to know, but then I remember even in the 2000s, Kamen Rider straight up had the silly monster of the week straight up kill people and die. Never forget they had Bounce under censored live on TV. I've only seen around 40 episodes of Salesman, but at no point does Moguru have a wife. Yes. Thank you for clarifying that, Aochi. I know the creators of Laughing Salesman have an anime centered around golf. Maybe they're mixing their shows up with that one? But I thought Laughing Salesman ran in a Shonen magazine. I couldn't tell you. Yeah, so that was strange. That's just not the synopsis, and it wasn't corrected for 15 years. That's in the first edition and in the third edition. I don't understand. Anywho. Leda. You know, the OVA, Leda. Yeah. They gave it a positive. It's a high point of early video anime. It's a good article, too. I really like how they ended it with 15 years later, main crew members would still be in the public eye, directing Pokemon, designing Brain Powered, and composing the music to Eva. I get that was how they were able to kind of branch their article into different things, but that's how you should do it. That's how you should do it, of just like, this director did this, the designer did this, the music was by this guy. So you get to know, but don't just have it worded like that. Obviously, this is still better than nothing, but even just say, like, this is from the same director, you know, you could say, yeah, that's basically what they say, you know? I like that. I wish they did that more often. Try to further interweave and connect, like, this is a cool mashup where you have the director of Pokemon working with the character designer of Brain Powered and the music from Shiro Sagisu. Yeah, that's a cool way to sell this OVA, in my opinion, and not simply by its synopsis or something. I personally really like that approach. I thought that was a good article. Leda fans, Pog. Legend of the Galactic Heroes. Oh, we're here, baby. Finally. They call the Free Planets Alliance the Alliance of Independent Worlds. Okay. Not much of a nitpick, I guess. Fine. First 2 episodes were screened as a movie event, as a movie edit. I kept looking in their whole article. They mention the other movies and OVAs and stuff. They don't mention Conquest is Sea of the Stars. They don't say that. They don't name drop that title anywhere. And it is a retelling of the first 2 episodes, so I think that's what they're talking about, but it's not a movie edit. I don't know if they mean by, like, movie edit, like a compilation. It makes it, when they say the first 2 episodes were screened as a movie edit, that makes it sound like they just put the first 2 OVA episodes onto the big screen. But it's a whole original movie that's, like, completely animated, like, independently. It's a whole separate thing. You know? So that was strange. Maybe that's still true that they did compile the 2 episodes and threw it in theaters as a double bill with this other thing. But I'm pretty sure they're talking about Conquest of the Sea of the Stars, and they think it's a 2-episode movie edit, which it's not. I also remember Shonen Magazine having just as much bloody death even for that era. Shonen is pretty broad in that sense, or fan service and kind of gore. My summary of Leda is Lapida with bikini armor. Oh. Here's one little part that was weird to me. There are, mercifully, no transforming robots, although there are hackneyed hover cars and similarly redressed contemporary technology. I don't. First of all, the open dissent for transforming robots, like, no fucking wonder they didn't like Gundam. Gundam does have transforming robots technically, but it's not as transformery as, like, other things, I think. But, like, okay, yeah, you clearly have a bias against that then. Oh, thankfully there's no transforming robots. Oh, mercifully. Oh, thank God. The fuck? What do you got a problem with against that? And, like, no wonder they fucking liked Gios, but they didn't say diddly shit about Gurren Lagann. Although there are hackneyed hover cars. You're really complaining about the fucking hover cars that don't even show up that often? And by the way, the other side has fucking horse-drawn carriages. Like the Empire mostly has that. I could have sworn there were cars in there somewhere too. Like, that's such a weird complaint, you know? Like, who cares, dude? And similarly redressed contemporary technology. Look, I can understand complaining about the floppy disks that they use in LGH in the 2001 in the 3000 in the year 3175 or whatever. They're still using fucking floppy disks. No, they're not. or like radio or something. Like some of the weird, outdated technology, certain things like that I can understand complaining about maybe. But like redressed contemporary technology, what kind of complaint is that? Like it's a weird nitpick. Ultimately, I think that their opinion on it was mixed. It's actually pretty even-handed, I think, because at first I thought it was positive because they say one of anime's silent successes. The sci-fi trappings and occasionally half-hearted and hokey. The execution is still brilliant. So I'd be like, oh, good, positive, cool. But then they say, despite the stirring music, gripping plots, doomed pretty boy heroes, LOGH can be too smart for its own good. LOGH keeps to cerebral plotting, likely to doom it in the modern anime market. Is this a positive review or what? Are you really just dismissing all of its positive qualities in the fact that, like, it might be too complicated or, like, cerebral for mainstream audiences to like? I can kind of understand where you're coming from, but, like, they've really not given it a chance. I think everybody, pretty much, like, 90% of people that check out LGH and finish it enjoy it. Sometimes it's not their thing, and I get it. Like, sure. Crit doesn't need to like it. I get it. You can spend time on other things, like, whatever. But, like, I don't know. I think there's plenty of merit to it that, like, that's not a barrier. In fact, I find that it's cerebral plotting and being too smart for it. It's like, yeah, I don't know. It's not it. I don't think. But I treated this as very much of a mixed review, ultimately. But shonen magazines are aimed at 9-year-olds at the youngest. Though I'm sure younger kids read it. Yes, Full Wind Man. And don't forget, older boys can buy it too. Adults can buy shonen. And women can buy shonen. In fact, I don't have the stats on me, but I've been seeing increasingly that there is actually a very sizable proportion of female readership for Shonen Jump. And that's what makes it those stories the most profitable, highly popular series in manga and in comics. Period. Comics. Period. Because they have such a broad, widespread appeal. They can appeal to a lot of people, and they champion a lot of human values that, like, anybody would want to be. Like, what really sells me on that idea is some of the promotional stuff for One Piece, and I get it's promotional material, but like when it was celebrating its 100th volume anniversary and stuff, and it was doing these promos, you know what they were doing? They weren't selling to simply young boys. They were selling to adults. They were selling to young girls. They were selling to a broad group of people because it appeals to a broad group of people because of the way that those stories manifest, and like they cover so much ground and they have so many genres and they're an addictive format, you know. A lot of people can enjoy it. I don't know, I just like to push against that, even though that is technically maybe at one point, I don't know. The only giant mechas when they have detachable grapple are they only like giant mechas when they have detachable grapple hands and big titty pilot girls. I'd have to look into that in terms of their record of their positive reviews, but it might even be in spite of those robots, to be honest with you. Well, all the Empire drives back Mercedes and all the Alliance drive wedges. If they're going to complain about transforming robots, they better not say Voltron's a masterpiece. Ha ha! Imagine. They'd only say that sort of thing about the remake where it doesn't focus on the robot. Yeah. What did they just call anime fans too dumb? Yeah. Yes. Maybe floppy disk will be cool again in the year 3000, like what happened with vinyl. Yeah. I just can't figure out where to fit LGH on my scheduling. I get that. Why do these authors constantly feel the need to insult their audience? I don't know. Maybe they're not insulting their audience by like speaking up for the people, being like, finally, thank you, God, I hate giant robots. Speaking to the people, man. I don't know. And I love the political military scheming of on top of all the Yang Wenli memes. I'm aware that they're not just male 9 to 18-year-olds we've shown, and hell, look at the One Piece for yeah. Maybe we reach the maximum memory density, so we need bigger media again. Because the entire 2000s era internet nerd subculture was absolutely drenched in masculine irony. More like man-children pretending that they know what being mature is. Oh, for sure. I won't say, the actual conduct of its fans is a whole other discussion. Anyway. That's LGH. Lensman. These guys read the books. Whoever wrote this article read the books. This was, this read to me, really funny. They're complaining that, the book, the movie doesn't have the things that the books have, featuring crashing worlds, maimings, and dismemberments. I love that the first three things you're going to say are crashing worlds, maimings, and dismemberments. This is fake edgy, my story's better because it has maimings and dismemberments. Are you sure that's the first three things you want to list there? You're positive. I just thought that was funny. And it keeps going. I'm just this feels like it's written by a teenage boy, I swear. A revolution on a planet of lesbians? Mind-blowing psychic powers? Whoa, mind-blowing psychic powers! Do you mean this, literally mind-blowing psychic powers? Because that's interesting. I mean, sure, that's cool. But just mind-blowing psychic powers! You're describing Mob Psycho 100. It's got mind-blowing psychic powers. I'm sorry, I'm just ridiculing this fucking passage. Double, triple, and quadruple crossing conspiracies, and gunplay that makes the Matrix look like a puppet show. This was what really broke me here. Gunplay that makes the Matrix look like a puppet show. You're talking about books, right? You're not even talking about visual media. You're reading this book, you freaking nerd. And whoa, the gunplay makes the Matrix look like a puppet show. God. It's just funny. I might be being mean or a dick or something. But just, I get that the movie was kind of lame. I've watched Lensman. I watched the movie. It's got a cool minecart chase. That was a kind of fun climax. But clearly you just weren't invested in it because you read the book, and whatever you made up in your head of this epic gunfight that makes the Matrix look like a puppet show, whatever you visualized in your head that the book allowed you to visualize was better than anything that they could have made in an animated movie. Anything. Maybe it could have been good. I agree, Lensman's not a great movie. Sure. But, the description here makes it come off as such a, astronomical, you're just a book fan. Okay, dude. I had no idea that the Lensman movie was a compilation film, a movie edit. Although they only say this as suggested by the 25-minute acts, it's a movie edit. And I'm like, wait a minute. Especially when we just read about LOGH, that is Conquest with the Sea of the Stars. Though to be fair, I checked ANN, the encyclopedia there. It's not just Kawajiri that's the director. It's this other guy who also directed the TV show. So I believe that's fair. I would believe that. But also it's tough because I'm pretty sure and they don't mention this for some reason. It's a fairly long article, all things considered. I think it's one of the considered long. I think it's considered Lensman. Yeah, it's 47 lines, so it's considered a long article. They don't bring up all the litigation IP stuff that like the reason and like Lensman's never got an official release, and like they talk about Carl Masick releasing a couple episodes, but maybe this whole thing didn't come out by 2001 and then they never updated it for 2015. But like there's a whole thing about the estate refusing to distribute it, or like to just bar acts, and they got the rights to it and they're holding it within their estate and nobody can see it. So like I'm pretty sure the Lensman TV series has lost media. I could be making a wildish claim. Let me just double check. Anime Bites. Oh, Lensman. Oh no, never mind. No, the TV series is around and it's actually subbed. I'm an idiot. Only episodes 1 through 17. Only episodes 1 through 17. So, I mean, you could actually do the investigation and see if it's actually a compilation movie. Again, I wouldn't be surprised, but that's interesting. Especially when it's like, you didn't get it right the other time, so how do I know you were right this time? Kind of deal. Welcome to the low-tax something awful era. Yeah. Or maybe we find a way to make a floppy hard over 10 terabytes. But Berserk has those. That means it's good, right? Right. Wait, that sounds like Winruga. I mean, Berserk is good. Also, Berserk is a visual medium. At least Berserk, you could be like, look, not read. Yeah, you say read Berserk, but Berserk is just the manga is just as much a visual experience as it is a narrative one, as it is a literary one. But it's not like read. Look, Lensman. It's read Lensman, unless Lensman came out as a comic, but it sounds like it's a book. That's equilibrium. Matrix already looks like a PS2 FMV puppet show. I don't care. I love the Matrix. Damn, now I'm remembering Pausen's quote tweeting a tweet going, I've already read the manga, why should I watch Vinland Saga? I don't know what he said at that quote retweet. That's funny. Although it's fine. It really is just like, yeah, if you've already read Vinland Saga and you're not interested in the anime, fine. But don't say the anime's worse. Unless you've seen it. And then it can be like, alright, what are your reasonings? And from there it can be kind of like, okay. But there is that thing. I have an axe to grind. Someday. The right time, the right place. I'm very, let's just say, I love manga. I really love manga. I'm squarely in the anime camp. And it's not the manga's fault. It's not manga that's bad. It's not manga that's worse than anime. It's the manga fans that have a problem. Misplaced expectations. They go about it the wrong way. But it's something that manga naturally kind of allows you to have. I guess I'm going to do this argument anyway. Basically, it's like, there's so many things about manga for me that is really frustrating when it comes to then enjoying the anime. There's things that it's missing that I want anime to fill, and what I hope it would fill and expect it to fill, and when it doesn't fill it in the way I imagined it, I get disappointed. And that's not the anime's fault. That's not the anime being bad. That's me having misplaced expectations. Ultimately, is what I would like to argue. This is why I prefer anime to manga most of the time. The anime I would make of the manga would be infinitely worse than the actual adaptation. But what if the anime is already really bad? Unironically, I think then you gotta make those arguments, you know? Unironically, I think the fight sequences of some of Fate Heaven's Feel were done better in the visual novel, which is mostly written narration. Everyone should watch Vinland Saga just for the audio-visual intensity that you really don't get in the manga. Manga just won't ever have the Nana Mizuki doing the opening, so I guess anime wins. That's right. Oh, well, I guess it wins. Yep. Anyway, yeah. There was a negative. It was a great disappointment if you read the books, which it sounds like they did. Lensman looks like a cheap knockoff of Star Wars, which I would kind of see as a hand wave, but they are talking about it in terms that were like, the protagonist just turned into this, the heroine's turned into this, there's a robot that wasn't in the books that's clearly trying to be a robotic comic relief. I get it. Sure, you could call it knockoff of Star Wars, whatever. Okay. Little Nemo, a tiresome and condescending attempt to reverse engineer Disney. Sheesh. They really went into the all the people that kind of left the production. It was kind of a production nightmare. I just for posterity's sake, in terms of Osamu Dezaki representation, a second pilot credited to Osamu Dezaki also exists. Okay. Not like they really embellished on the first pilot by Kodabe. Oh god, it's the Kondo. Sorry, Yoshifumi Kondo. I get that they didn't really elaborate on that either, but still, just the wording is like it also exists. It's also a thing. Yeah, seems like a lot of Dezaki's career in this encyclopedia is a thing to me. Little Norse Prince Horus, the Takahata debut. Positive. Fluid animation, well-paced action scenes, charming art style of character design, unusually sympathetic treatment from Western adapters. I think Fred Ladd, they said that Fred Ladd was the director of that Western adaptation. So they like kept certain scenes in and stuff. They almost like spoil the whole thing, but they don't quite. So, okay. Red Riding Hood, Akazukin Cha-Cha. I'm looking forward to that. Positive. They were positive on it. It's like, come on, why do you have to fucking call it a clone? A spirited Sailor Moon clone that's more than the sum of its parts. Okay, that's fair. That's positive enough. God. Little Witch Sally. They just spoil the TV special that's supposed to end the whole series. Cool. Although I believe I heard that before. I heard how that ends beforehand, so I'm not too surprised or disappointed or something, but still. Well, I do think I could adapt the pool scene of Rent-A-Girlfriend better than the inevitable adaptation. Yeah, we'll see. Alright. And then finally, Lupin the Third. Well, to be fair, the Dezaki pilot tended to be ignored by most people at the time. It only gets more recognition now that Dezaki has a cult audience over here. I see. Isn't that interesting? Lupin the Third. They did change a few things, of course, because it's updated to, because there's still more entries that came out between 2001 and now. It changed in 30 years to in the 5th decade. Changed Kiyoshi is the Japanese voice of Lee Martin to Kiyoshi was the Japanese voice of Lee Martin, although I don't really know why they kept the quotations. They were just like, Kiyoshi is the Japanese voice of Lee Martin, because I figured that was meant to contrast Yamada. They were saying Yamada used to be the voice for Clint Eastwood, but then his was, and it's like, wait, you're just saying two wases now. Why do you have to emphasize the was? But whatever. Confusing choice, but they did change it. Changed the localized names of a variety of TV specials. So like they had their own localized versions, like $1 Money Wars, and they changed it to Missed by $1, things like that. In the first edition to the third edition, but not makes sense. I've heard of them go by multiple names like that before, so that's not a surprise. They added a one-sentence summary to Return of Pykel because Pykel was just about to come out by the time the first edition was published. So they added a little short synopsis of Return of Pykel of what that's about. And they also added the synopsis of everything from First Contact to The Woman Called Fujiko Mine. So like all the specials that came out around that time. I don't quite know if it was everything. I didn't check. I didn't really care to check, but it seemed like everything. From what I could read, I was like, yeah, this seems like all of it. God, I don't know why they had to describe every last one of them, dude. Ugh. Give the synopsis of each one. It's like, ugh. Little Nemo is a good movie, especially if you compare it to a Disney film, which used to be great back in the day. That's an interesting take. I heard most people not liking that movie, or just kind of been like, no. But that's good. I like hearing positive things about that. I am interested, especially for the pilot from Dezaki. But I would brace myself personally for being disappointed. Here's some quotes I was a little weirded about. Some of its stories now outgroove the self-conscious. Some stories from like Part 1 Lupin from like 1971 now outgroove the self-consciously groovy Cowboy Bebop with their original kitsch. Self-consciously groovy Cowboy Bebop? Huh? I'm not gonna make a mountain out of a molehill, I guess. Well, this is the whole series, right? This is what we do. But like, self-consciously groovy? Where do you get that from? Doesn't elaborate. Leaves. Come on. Whatever. They got a name wrong. Kiyoshi Komori, and I believe they say it twice in the encyclopedia, and it doesn't change from the first to the third. It's Kiyoshi Kobayashi, the voice actor for Jigen. They say, yeah, Kiyoshi Komori voiced Jigen. No, Kiyoshi Kobayashi. Or maybe Komori was like, somebody wrote it that way somewhere else, or that's his alternate name? I don't know. I've never even heard that. What does that even mean? Yeah, I don't know. Self-consciously groovy. Guy who's only watched Cowboy Bebop. Getting a lot of Cowboy Bebop vibes here. Yeah. Or, it's more for these guys. It's more like getting a lot of Lupin the Third vibes from Cowboy Bebop. And it's like, okay, good for you. Sometimes I think these writers just make up phrases they don't even know the meaning of. Maybe. Couldn't tell you. The episodes 145 and 155, the ones that Miyazaki directed, were released in the US as Lupin the Third Albatross Wings and Lupin the Third Aloha Lupin. So, you might not understand what the confusion of there is. Albatross Wings makes sense. I believe the episode is called Wings of Albatross. Let me just double check on that title. But the confusion is the second one. Aloha Lupin. I believe I know what episode they're referring to, but it's not 155. Yeah. 145 is called Wings of Death Albatross. I remember that. But one of the episodes that they might be referring to, I'm not quite sure. I'm just double checking. I think they might be referring to 143, the Miami Bank, which is not Hawaii, but at least it's a tropical setting, and it's unusually well animated. It's a very high regarded telecom episode of Lupin. But 155, if you've seen it, it doesn't take place in Hawaii. Like, definitely not. Like, this does not seem like Hawaii to me. Maybe it is. I'm just surprised in that case. Sometimes I think these writers, yeah. As someone who got into Lupin before Bebop, the comparison's just weird to me. I can kind of see it, but yeah, it's like, ugh, whatever. Again, it's that, like, TV tropes, like, media poison brain. Like, oh, it's just Lupin, you know? They say Komori because they misread that as that. Oh, interesting. Fair. I figure there's some stuff like that occasionally. But yeah, no, 155 is like the giant robot that is the one they model off the robot from Laputa. That big robot, that shows up in Lupin 155, like 6 years before Castle of the Sky. And to my knowledge, I don't think that. Yeah, so that was weird to me. I don't quite know what episodes they were referring to, but maybe that's still the case if I looked up the English release or something, like Wolf, the Adventures of Lupin or something. But I feel like that may be kind of hard and not really worth my time. All successive Lupin the Third outings have been made for TV as one-shot specials. It's so weird they kept this line the same for the third edition when they include the Women Called Fujiko Mine, which was for television. All successive Lupin the Third outings have been made for TV as one-shot specials. All of them? You know? It's like, wait, huh? But also not true. Obviously, it's outdated, but even just that statement in the third edition, like, wait, what do you mean? Angel Tactics introduces science fiction elements. It doesn't seem like to me they think, or maybe they're not trying not to spoil or something, but the Gold of Babylon, maybe I was wrong or something, but like Gold of Babylon deadass ends with aliens. Like it's a UFO in that movie. And like the one of the printed characters or whatever turns out to be an alien. Like the deadass. Also, science fictional elements. You don't think part 2 had science fictional elements or supernatural elements? Like, they were trying to make this case, right? They were describing how, like, starting with Elusiveness of the Fog, they start doing more supernatural science fiction stuff. It's like, oh, they're kind of falling back. They're kind of, like, going a little wacko. But it's like they haven't seen much of part 2, or they've only seen the Miyazaki episodes. Because part 2 has plenty of science fiction and supernatural bullshittery that I don't like. And I'm not disagreeing with them. That's kind of not great. I wish they don't have that. But like they kind of had that a lot for a long time. Way before this wave of the TV specials having that. But even then they contradict themselves because there's other things that happen in that time period that aren't supernatural or sci-fi. It's like, I don't know what you mean. I guess they're just trying to make words for the sake of it or something. As the franchise thrashed, or just this is the kind of wording you find in like Fist of the North Star or Gundam or something. As the franchise thrashed around in search of some means of keeping fresh, they would have been. I think that's not as mean as they've been in other places, like from like a zombie rising from the dead or something. But like kind of a similar sentiment. It's one of those things. I just wanted to highlight that. It's like, ugh. They were positive on Fujigamine, the most powerful iteration in recent times. And the way they're describing the plot and everything, it's like, oh, they seem to really like it. Negative, Elusiveness of the Fog specifically, because they say it was mercifully short-lived, which is fair. It's Mid-Pon. It's not the worst Lupin, though. There was other ones they were describing very flaccidly, the plot. They don't give their opinion on any other of these Lupin. They describe almost every single fucking one. Actually, no. I forgot. They are also positive on one other Lupin title. They were positive on Fuma Clan. I think they say it was masterful. Just getting the right wording. Yeah, superb. Masayuki Ozeki's superb. Yeah. And that's it. That's pretty much it. And we got about a half hour, like 20 minutes left before it's a half hour. Look, fellas, because I am going on so many tangents and I'm talking with you guys, which is always a joy, always a pleasure. These freaking streams have lasted over 2 hours, like 2.5 hours. The last one was 3.5 hours. I ain't got time for these. For this. Let's just say that. For this. Don't got time. I can't do that again. I gotta be more focused while still enjoying the chat. Sir PC, hey, good to see you. They somehow maybe got the opposite meaning of Goodbye Lupin, which I think is 15555 was called. Yeah, 155 is called, at least on Crunchyroll, it's called Thieves Love the Peace. But it is kind of a goodbye thing anyway, but I don't know. Couldn't tell you. There are some homages in Lupin and Cowboy Bebop, but their take is just weird. Lupin takes itself way less seriously than Bebop, with some exceptions. Just checked on Wikipedia and said that Streamline called 155 Aloha Lupin. Yeah, that sounds correct. I remember seeing that in other places, too. But I just think that's weird, too. I mean, I may be pivoting. That's fair. I guess that, I'll just put that, if that's like true or whatever, I didn't go out and be like, that's not true, but it makes it, me questioning that makes it seem like that was their thing. But part 2 has supernatural elements really early. Yeah, Gold of Babylon is such a weird film, probably my least favorite pieces of Lupin media. I still liked it. I think I give it I think I have it as a good. Let me see. Actually, no. Actually, I might not. I might have it as a mid pawn. Oh no, I have it good. Just because it's I like the part 3 style. I just liked how goofy it was, I think. But the ending really did disappoint me. The ending was so awful. What was the date you started the initial encyclopedia project? Well, I technically started it with the context video that is linked in every description. Checks complete, no mistakes found. The digest is done. I gotta post this to Patreon. Just a sec, fellas. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. This actually marks the 100th video I've uploaded to my Patreon with the tag AniTube Digest. I am charging for that. Whew. Fuck yeah. The post is live. And now I shall share on Le Discord. 5 hour. Yeah. And that'll be early for a day for patrons. I'm gonna upload it publicly tomorrow night. What was the day of the encyclopedia project? Yes. So it's on my. Just scroll down. Look at all my to find it. Somewhere here. Somewhere. Yes. An expedition of the Anime Encyclopedia is what technically kicked off this project, and it was September 1st, 2021. So that is the impetus of this project. I have not watched this video since I published it, so I'm going to be interested in seeing how that goes. See if the like, oh boy, you sweet summer child, such and such. Anywho, as far as I know, Lupin has always had even in part 1. At least in the part 1, most of them had a cheeky explanation to it. Like Pikel's was, oh, it's magic. It's like, nah, it's science. There's logic to it. It's still breaking physics, but it's still like, oh, there's an explanation, and not just like, oh, it's a gremlin. It's a ghost. It's a little demon possessing this ring. Yeah. And it gives you bad luck. Oh. Okay. That's it. All right. No nefarious plot. Otherwise, they're not just saying that. No, that dead ass it's the case. Sure. I mean, the second episode is about the guy who can set himself on fire. Congrats, Shapes. Thank you, Greg. I would have preferred Oshi's original take on Babylon. Oh, of course. Can only hope. We can only wish. Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Oh man, it's the digest with 1 hour, not good. Looking forward to that. Yeah, it ended up being 58 minutes basically. But it's a long one. It's because I had to cut some stuff. I was repeating myself a couple of times, and there's other points that I bring up that I'm like, that's whatever. I'm already skewering the guy enough. I don't have to be that annoying or whatever. I felt there was things that I was being irritable about for no reason. So there was things that I cut, but it's 59 minutes, so. Happy late 1 year anniversary. Yeah, right. It was basically the J video, the J live stream. That was the 1 year anniversary stream, basically. I wish we could have done L by then, and then we could be like, it was exactly a half a year, but oh well, can't win them all. But I'm gonna be more consistent. I'm hoping that at least I was able to. I don't feel like we made a ton of tangible progress, but I'm gonna try this coming week to try to make up for that progress by finishing L First Edition in one go. Maybe do a little third, see how much we can do. Try to get a little ahead of it, as much as we can. We're not ahead at the moment. We're not even close, but yeah, make up for it a little bit. Hey, before I leave, I feel like we're just the most of everything. What I know, for those of you guys who weren't here at the beginning of the stream, I think most of you were. Thank you for sticking around. I wanted to read one of their articles. I guess I have some DM stuff. Hold on. I'm giving Shapes money. Yeah. Anyway. All right. Yeah, I wanted to read some of their articles, and I'm just gonna read one for now, and then we'll see what time it is, and we can read another one if we're fancying it. But this first one is called Fandom. So I am very interested. This could go really well or really poorly, because I want to hear about like early fandom stuff of like, and not just like, oh, we used to trade VHS tapes, but like, I don't know what kind of interesting stuff could they have here, the insight that they have. But they could also just be complaining about fans the whole time. We'll have to see. Those are my expectations going into this for Fandom. All right. Oh no. Yeah, let me get a drink. I don't need to go off or anything. They're right here. Okay. Yellow. JoJo menacing intensifies. Yeah. All right, fellas, here we go. Fandom. The presence of a mature audience for Japanese animation has been implicit since the days of early anime, many of which have comprised instructional material clearly aimed at an audience of adults. The existence of aficionados appreciating animation for animation's sake. Sakuga fans? Interesting take. Interesting route. First arose in 1923 as a subset of the hobbyist groups and magazine readers associated with newly available small gauge cameras, the Pathé Baby and the Eastman Kodascope. I love where this is going. This is the shit I was talking about. It's like shit I've never heard of before that they have such good insight about. And I can kind of understand a little bit of their overall cynicism if they're this deep in the history of Japanese animation, right? And then they have to sit through a bunch of this hentai and like schlock, right? I can kind of see where they're coming from based on that. But I like that this is focusing not on like US fans so far, but like actual Japanese fandom. Like that's the good shit. Okay. Among such individuals, Shigeji Ogino from 1899 to 1991 became one of Japan's most prolific amateur animated filmmakers, producing works such as One Day 100 Years Hence, Hyakunengo Aruhi from 1932. He was active until the 1970s. The accompanying technology of small gauge projection also encouraged a small but influential group of film owners among the hobbyists, such as Yutaka Tezuka, whose son Osamu might be reasonably described as a fan of foreign animation and would eventually create Japanese work in imitation. The presence of a setting on the Pathé Baby projector that would show a single frame every 10 seconds may have even formed a partial inspiration for Tezuka's later experiments in limited animation. That's not a bad take. That's not a bad leap, actually. I kind of like that. Like this technology that his father was really invested in, and he may have gotten that idea of limited animation, where it's like, I mean, I was invested in this stuff that a frame would last 10 seconds. 10 seconds! That's so long for one frame of anime. It's not even it feels like it's not even animated at that point, but it technically is. That's a really interesting take. I like that. Although it would be anachronistic to use the term fandom through the 15-year war from 1931 to 45, the enthusiastic consumption and reception of wartime anime was mandated by the establishment, particularly in the compulsory school outings arranged for screenings of Momotaro's Sea Eagles. However, the growth of true fandom as we know it, rather than simple fanaticism, does not arise until the post-war period. The critic Nobuyuki Tsugata ties the development of anime itself into two technologies and the culture that they created. Television from 1953, creating a boom in animation production from 1963, and video from the late 70s, creating a means of storing and exchanging animation and eventually creating new products from 1983, specifically for an audience of older viewers. The presence of an audience beyond that of children has also long been understood by anime producers, particularly in terms of advertising and sponsorship, such as the Oranamine C vitamin drink that backed Star of the Giants. Ratings and box office have long accepted the presence of adults among viewers. Indeed, the requirement for an adult parental figure to accompany a child to a cinema has usually been part of the calculations for likely ticket receipts. With the arrival of television, primetime shows such as Sazai-san and late-night programming such as Hermit Village openly courted mature viewers, while the audiences for Heidi and Star Blazers scored ratings too high to be watched merely by children. Hence, although it has always been widely understood that any animated film was aimed at an implied audience of enthusiastic viewers, and that any sequel played to an assumed audience of viewers keen enough about a franchise to return to for more of it, the concept of fandom required the development of a viewable archive of materials about which to be fanish, and a forum where such passions could be discussed and transmitted. This spitting facts, bro. This is good shit. I'm loving it. Ba 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 ba. Their logic is so rock solid, of like that animation and fandom in general are composed primarily of older people to adults, like older kids to adults. Children can enjoy and experience the thing, but fandom is ultimately what is propulsing it. And producers, the people who are making it, understand that adults are watching what they're making. It completely makes sense. And when I'm thinking about that too, now that I'm thinking about it, it would also make sense why the YouTube animation of YouTube Kids. If you ever look, I don't know if anyone of you ever really done a dive or something, but if you go onto YouTube Kids, not just the YouTube Kids, but just looking up animation in general that would be on YouTube for YouTube children, for kids on YouTube, right? There's so much of it, and it's way worse in terms of just like animation quality, story content. Like this is not Sesame Street. This is not what we grew up on television. This shit would never air on TV. And it's because I think the people making this material realize adults aren't watching it. It's not on television. It's not on video that they buy. It's just put it on an iPad in front of a kid. And that's how it gets billions of views. The people making the animation know that. And so that's why so that's kind of what I'm thinking. At least I'm surmising. And that's why we can actually say a lot of these shows that would air on Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, Disney Channel, that's why there is something about like, or PBS Kids, even PBS Kids. There is something inherent about the art, the animation being targeted to kids and put on kids stations that kids are going to see and is appropriate for kids. But it's in such a quality that adults can enjoy it. Because they're the ones putting the TV on. They're the ones paying for the cable. They're the ones paying for merchandise or whatever to subsequently enjoy. I think that makes sense. I feel like that's what they're arguing here, and I feel like that makes complete sense. Why can't the rest of the encyclopedia be this well written? I don't know. Like, I'm so excited to read their other books and insist that they are very good writers. I swear I think they are, and I think that they care, but there's something about this project and this amount of work. They couldn't give a shit. As much as they give a shit right here in these articles, and sometimes in these articles they say whack shit, don't get me wrong. I think sometimes their biases and other things, they're not completely, great. But they can be fantastic. And I do fully expect those books that they are writing by themselves, like Anime History, Helen's Tezuka Bio and stuff like that. I expect those to be fantastic. But this is, I mean, yeah. But I think it's the sheer volume that they're writing. They have to write a fucking summary about every anime that ever came out. And, like, they're limiting themselves in places. But not by much. They don't limit themselves that much. And they haven't missed almost any. I've yet to find any major TV series or major OVA or something that's not been covered in the third edition. First edition, you could find some holes. A couple. Daiton 3. But third edition, it's pretty much perfect. In terms of coverage. But the quality of that coverage, by mostly 2 people, with a couple editors, hard. It's basically trying to create Mal with just you and another person, like from scratch. I don't want their job, you know what I mean? I get it, but this may have potentially been not a great idea. A valiant effort, basically, and a miracle that it came out as readable as it is. But still, sheesh. Anyway, I fell in love with animation because I enjoyed how the stuff aired on Cartoon Network didn't talk down to kids and even had some mature themes in them as well. Yeah, totally. Anyway, let's keep reading. Its growth in Japan is usually tied to the maturation of the Astro Boy audience, which is to say, those viewers who grew up with homegrown Japanese cartoons since 1963, entering their teens in the 70s and 80s, and creating a new potential market for cartoons aimed at older consumers. The director Tadao Nagahama recognized the presence of an audience of teenage viewers in the 1970s that was not being served by kids anime, but it was arguably Yoshiyuki Tomino with shows like Zambot 3, who pushed the envelope of children's entertainment sufficient to cater to older viewers. Yeah. It's interesting that Nagahama very openly cited that. And it's unfortunate he unfortunately passed away before the turn of that decade. That he was noticing that teenagers were starting to watch anime more. And he wasn't able to capitalize on it. His last work was like Rose of Versailles, and Gold Lighton. No, Daltanius. I'm sorry, not maybe Gold Lighton, but I think it was Daltanius and Rose of Versailles. And he didn't see to the end of those productions, unfortunately. They should all have only written about anime they liked and let people who liked stuff they didn't write other entries. I agree. And that's what they did for some entries. And they may have actually done that for some of these that we just have no idea. We don't know what they credited and stuff. It would have been cool if they credited it. You know what that reminds me of? Anime Impact, I believe is the name of the book by Chris Stuckman. And it's not really a book by Chris Stuckman as it is a compilation of essays gathered by Chris Stuckman that he takes from a lot of other people, a lot of writers, including Bennett the Sage and Pedantic Romantic, actually, and a couple other people. And they published they were published some essays of anime that those individual people wanted to put forward as like, this is what anime can do, as really shining examples, which I think is a really valiant and cool idea. I love it. Preaching to the choir, man. Okay. The existence of a growing teenage or college-age audience of anime fans had been explicit since the guerrilla marketing campaigns designed to push the movies based on Star Blazers. But the rise of the videocassette truly allowed fandom to flourish as a permanent phenomenon. It was to serve this audience that the first dedicated subcultural magazines began publication, including Out from 1977 to 95, Animage since 1978, and New Type since 1985. Video permitted self-identified fans video permitted self-identified fans not only to save and savor their favorite shows, but to also share them with others, creating a culture of viewing and potential recruitment, allowing for the maintenance of a core fandom. Videocassettes allowed anime, initially from television, to seep into Japan's science fiction convention culture, and were soon hailed as the ideal medium with which to test mature themes unsuitable for TV animation's implied audience of children. Implied audience. Even though they did argue that, like, for it being on television, they realized there is an element of adults watching, so they have to cater to that in some way. The 1980s saw the rise of video-based anime, including After Mono, that continued TV storylines into more mature areas. See, for example, Macross, and original animation works that offered all new stories. The private viewing venues afforded by videos allowed for the rise of erotica and pornography, but also for a boom in sci-fi, fantasy, and horror titles that helped spearhead anime's export to the West in the 1990s. Western fandom differs from... Here we go, Western fandom. Here it is. Western fandom differs from country to country, but largely follows the Japanese model in miniature. In North America, for example, video recordings formed an archive, seeped into sci-fi conventions and internet message board discussions, and eventually became the subject of early magazines such as Animage and Protoculture and Protoculture Addicts from 1988 to 2008. I've never heard of that one. Anime fandom, as affectionately lampooned in Otaku no Video, is a self-aware interest group of proud geeks and nerds, once associated simply with the consumption of anime and its attendant merchandise and spin-offs, now more likely to be more actively involved in a culture that merely includes anime as its inspiration. Let me read that again. Once associated simply with the consumption of anime and its attendant merchandise and spin-offs, now more likely to be more actively involved in a culture that merely includes anime as its inspiration. I can kind of see it, yeah. And that's reflected in Otaku no Video because it's not simply anime geeks, although they have the kind of the biggest aura around them. But there's gun nerds, there's general sci-fi, model kit sort of things, any obsessive hobby. I can get that. And you could say the same thing in the West too, because like anime, it's like, oh, I'm into anime, I'm into video games, right? Sort of stuff like that. And manga, Garugamesh. Large enough to have formed its own community, history, and archive, it has itself become a subject of study and inquiry. Large enough to have formed its own community, history, and archive, it has itself become a subject of study and inquiry. Yeah, the thing they're writing about. In works such as Yasuo Nagayama's Sengo SF Jikenshi, Nihon Teki Sozoryoku no 70 Nen, an event history of post-war SF, 70 years of Japanese imaginative power, from 2012. Interesting, I wonder if that's translated. Consigning its supposed subject to the margins. Indeed, we might even point to a prevailing trend in international scholarship in which the localizing and solipsistic gaze. Solipsistic, what does that mean? No definition found. Google. Let me write that one down. Solipsistic. Let me put that in chat. Solipsistic. What the heck is that? Let's Google it. Adjective. Of or characterized by solipsism, or the theory that only the self exists, or can be proved to exist. Okay. In which the localizing and solipsistic gaze of anime fandom, I think what they mean by that maybe is like just the Western perspective, like, oh, I know this because that's what's being translated. That's what the subs say, and not like, and you know, not to looking deeper into it or something. I don't know, maybe. Gaze of anime fandom has become a more popular subject of inquiry than anime itself. We might even point to a prevailing trend in international scholarship that anime fandom has become a more popular subject of inquiry than anime itself. That's tough, but I can kind of see where they're coming from. I can kind of get that. And that's a shame. It's a real shame. I wish that was not the case. I wish we could talk about the actual thing that we're all enjoying and not simply the buzzing and goings on about it, right? Fandom also forms a substantial and self-referential audience for those anime that glorify the activities of fandom itself, such as the melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya and Cosplay Complex. Its average age in Japan is gradually rising, leading some commentators to wryly comment on the possible approach of a demographic bubble of silver otaku, men in their 40s and 50s clinging to their teenage love of Gundam and similar shows, but served by an industry of ever more expensive, tailor-made products. Yeah, it's that other... They've mentioned that in their own Gundam article, and it's like... Okay, But also, maybe they're talking about themselves, because this is exactly who they're talking... You know, men in their 40s and 50s. How old is Clemens here? But I guess he's not clinging to his teenage love of Gundam, or... I don't know. Why would you judge him for that? You know, I don't know. You cast the first stone. He who is sinless cast the first stone type of deal. Its average age in the West has plummeted from 18 to 22 during the video boom post Akira to a sudden wash of 13 to 15-year-olds in the wake of Pokemon. And they're writing this at least in the second edition for 2006. So this is, or maybe they wrote this in the third edition for by 2015. In which case, that doesn't make any sense, because that's probably shifted even more. And there's a pretty wide grouping, I think, in the wake of Pokemon, whose approach of legal drinking age in the mid-noughties was viewed and endured with some trepidation by older convention goers. That's funny, because Hiding in Public mentioned that. He's like, where's the 21 and up groups? I don't want to be socializing with people under 18. That's funny. Whose approach of legal drinking age in the mid-noughties was viewed and endured with some trepidation by older convention goers. I also wish that they would be a little more talking about their own personal experience, maybe. And I can find something a little more grounded to relate to. Otherwise, it sounds like they're talking about themselves, but I don't know that. because they're just talking in a vague general term, like with some trepidation by older convention goers. Like, do you have proof of that? Oh, that was my experience. Okay, then say that, right? Pretty sure the whole clinging to youth problems is the byproduct of Japan's toxic work culture. Yeah, probably. A modern issue among professional watchers of fandom is concern with the lifespan of a notional fan. Concern with the lifespan of a notional fan. Although individuals are apt to claim in the heat of their fanish passions that their love of a medium is a lifelong commitment, few fans are truly so devoted. I do find this fascinating. I do find this note interesting. Not them specifically mentioning it, but I've heard it brought up. Like Trixie brought it up, and in fact, it seems one of the driving factors of her channel's closing. That she's like, I think she was out of it. Few fans are truly so devoted. Circumstantial evidence from the peripheries of fandom, such as return visits to annual conventions and the implied institutional memories of magazines such as New Type, suggest that the half-life of an average fan is a mere 18 to 24 months. 18 to 24 months. 1.5 years to 2. 6 to 8 TV seasons. Before he or she moves on, perhaps to a different kind of fandom, but perhaps out of fandom altogether. In particular, the aging, retention, and dissipation of the Pokemon audience, as played out in the boom and sudden bust of the anime sales in the first decade of the 21st century, is one of the primary influences on the foreign anime business in recent times. That's interesting. And they're going to move on to a different topic here, so I just want to reminisce on that a little bit. Because there was proof basically is saying that like there was this huge hot market because of Pokemon, and so everybody was this certain age, and they all got really feverishly into it. There's other things I think led to a crash, but I can imagine maybe this Half-Life potentially did that. But this article also doesn't really take in consideration the current times. This is just my personal experience, but it feels like a lot of people are going back into anime after they liked it when they were a kid, and they've distanced themselves from it, and then they kind of return to it afterwards with a more mature mindset. Or there's more of an embrace for those things they liked when they were kids, and the shared excitement and that's mostly being online. When they were like, oh my god, did you play that? Like, literally, I was listening to Trash Taste today, and they spend like a half hour or 20 minutes or something geeking out about these Disney licensed games from the 2000s. It's like, did you play the Aladdin one on the SNES? Yeah, it was a great game. Oh, did you play the Hercules one? Or like I was like, whoa, there was a Disney Extreme Skate Adventure type they were looking at online. They're showing them on their phones. And that, like, those sorts of conversations happen a lot. And those are continuing to happen, I think. And it makes me think how, to think that, like, in about 6 months, I will have been reading this encyclopedia. I will have been reading this encyclopedia for the length of time that the average anime fan watches anime. I've been doing this for a year already. This encyclopedia. Never mind how often I've been online. October 10th is my 6-year anniversary as a YouTuber. As an anime YouTuber. And I've never mind have been watching anime, not like I want to be since I was a kid, but like avidly, as like, oh my god, I love anime, probably since 2014, which is it's 8 years now or so. But they're right, people do move on. I don't deny that, and it's going to happen at some point for sure. But it's hard, but it's like, especially seeing some people that I've looked up to in the industry and been fortunate enough to be considered friends, I would like to think. Seeing them last as long as they have. I remember us, like, There's a couple of multiple years, but they just say here 6 to 8 TV seasons, seasonals. So you're thinking like 6 to 8 seasonal cycles is when most people last. That doesn't feel like that's the case anymore. I don't know if it's because time moves fucking faster for me now or something, but it just doesn't seem, it seems way too short, that particular estimate. But maybe there is that case because there's so many people that, like, there's so many big people in the world, I guess. I don't know. So many people in the world. Wow, that part feels like that Giga video. Okay, I'm back awake from my 20-minute nap. Joke's on you, my Symphogear Gear brain will last forever. Well, I'm long past 18 to 24 months. I think I'm here for the long haul. And that's what they're saying. Is like, oh, you'll see, right? Because they literally be like, although the individuals are apt to claim in the heat of their fanish passions that their love of a medium is a lifelong commitment, few fans are truly so devoted. And so it really is just like, show up. Get those years under your belt. How many anime have you seen? And I do think it is possible for you to have seen a lot. And it feels like these people are going to be here forever. Digi, Snob, and they burn out. It feels like Snob, you know, like drama with Snob, I guess, but like, I'm not even subbed to him anymore. I don't even know what he's up to. It feels like he's on his way out, right? And Trixie, same thing. Already out. You never know. So that's why you don't want to take that for granted. You gotta be lifelong. And that's why I'm making that list, you know? That's where it's like, what happens after One Piece? I want to watch more. I want to watch a lot. I want to keep loving this stuff. Even if I'm getting to some of these things, right? I'm looking at it in hindsight, right? I've had a couple misses. Like, I didn't like Dougram. Dang. I didn't like Nadesco. Dang. I didn't like Eureka 7. I didn't like that show. It sucks. I hate that I didn't like. I wanted to like it. I really did. That's because I worry. It's like, oh no. Do I not like this anymore? Right? Is that a sign of a bigger problem? But thankfully, Brigadoon, Panda Co-Panda, oh my god. Those patrons who were there who watched it with me. Oh my god! Panda Co-Panda is amazing! One Piece. Thank god. Bless up! So happy. I can't wait to enjoy Sailor Moon, etc. Man. You know, it's just the wins. You gotta focus on that. It's good. Sorry. I'm gonna keep reading the chat. Aging out does happen for some. At the same time, modern times, people don't have an adult community to grow into either. But that's a bigger anthropological study to be taken. Oh, right, that reminds me. I did finally watch the Tim Rogers Boku no Natsu Yasumi vid, which kind of brought up the we want more games like this game. Yeah, I gotta watch that vid still, but I gotta find the time. I don't think I'll ever find the time, but I like it. I also want to play the game first. That's the other thing. It's like I don't want him to just like break open the whole experience and make me feel like I don't have to play the game. You know what I mean? I'd also think it would be a fun perspective. Like, yeah, I've played this game and I'm gonna watch this Tim Rogers video on it. I think that would be a fun experience too. So I kind of want to play it first, to be honest. I'm pretty sure a big part of the crash was because of Cartoon Network managing charging. That led to less anime being aired on TV and killing a lot of mainstream exposure. It was a lot of things. But a lot of it was the licensing bidding, because Geneon would spend sometimes they actually ended up spending more on the licensing than it cost to produce the show itself, thinking it would be that good of an investment, and then it bombs. And they just had too many bombs. Dried up. It was bad. There was a lot of factors to it though. I don't think it's actually aging out a lot of the time. People can fall out of love with something without it being a reflection of their maturity. Yeah, I don't think that's necessarily what they're saying, but... And there's definitely lots of factors. I've been in around the community as long as you, Shapes. Yeah. I don't know, some people are burning out on seasonals, but aren't moving on, so we have a weird group of why isn't there more blank shows? Yeah, for sure. I don't know if burnt out's the word for me about seasonals. It's just more like I've realized that's not very healthy of me to do. I don't like that process of watching something week to week. But I will for some of these really hot seasonals. Fucking Chainsaw Man, Bleach, other things I'm excited about. But I gotta get to Made in Abyss. Just finished. I actually have to binge it now. To be fair, people like you and I have a much more positive attitude towards things like Trixie or Snob. Fair. I don't disagree, Victor. That's a very good point. I try not to make my hobby an actual job without getting paid. You're right. Oh, that's definitely how it pans out. Build your entire perspective engagement on hating and toxicity. Even if you try to move on, that doesn't stop all the years of baggage. You don't like the Desco, huh? I generally feel like that's when Aikawa finally grew out of his whole edgelord phase and finally became a solid writer. I didn't even know Aikawa wrote it. There was a couple it could have been any Witch Factor. It was like a breath away from being good. I had it good pretty much the entire run, with some kind of dud episodes here and there, but then other episodes made up for it. And I just couldn't like the ending. I didn't like how it ended. Not in a like that sucked or anything, but it was just like, dang, not a fan. And maybe the movie improves it, but I've also heard it's a mess, so I'm kind of... Yeah, that was unfortunate, though. I mean, also, to be fair, 2 cores of Tim Rogers' vid is just his Kansas hometown visit. 2 hours is his Kansas hometown visit. Oh, wow. But you could possibly just skip to his conclusion. I'm watching way too many seasonal for fall. Yeah, it's going to be tough. People really need to stop only watching the seasonal shows. You just get bored with the medium. I know. I certainly got close. I need to figure out to juggle seasonals and longer, older shows now that I'm almost done with my Kamen Rider choosing series. And it usually only happens in bad seasonals. Yeah. No matter how many seasonals I'm watching, though, I'm always watching non-seasonals faster. Yeah, right? This is how it goes. Okay. Let me keep reading this. Demographically, fandom in Japan is split 88-12 male-female. In one of the remarkable counterintuitive statistics of the medium, this division is not reflected in the English-speaking world, where a 55-45 gender parity is usually noticeable. This leads to many odd appropriations and negotiations, as fan-friendly TV shows, supposedly aimed at single 30-something Japanese males, form part of the viewing culture of, say, teenage American girls. Some Japanese critics, most notably Takamasa Sakurai, have observed that the representative title's audience and reception of Japanese animation is often radically different outside Japan. This has led not only to several tardy continuations, such as Trigun, dragged back into production to serve an audience abroad a decade after ending in Japan. The movie Badlands Rumble? I guess. Although technically it's more pronounced now because it's getting a remake. But also to Outbreak Company, an anime satire concerning a soft power initiative to push fan products onto an alternate fantasy world. Anime conventions, gatherings of like-minded fans, are now frequent events all around the world, and often form platforms for movie premieres and marketing junkets, as well as the expression of amateur activities such as costuming, cosplay, fanzines, and AMVs, anime music videos, juxtaposing anime footage with music lifted from elsewhere. Some commentators have noticed that much modern convention activity does not directly monetize for the creators of anime. Indeed, many conventions, particularly in America, seem more likely to serve the business needs of pseudo-manga artists, hucksters, and craft spin-offs, furthering anime fandom's self-identification as a new culture independent of its original purpose. Worldwide, I get it, like artists appropriating anime as an image. You think of Artist's Alley and just using the iconography and characters and just kind of under the label of fan art, and they can profit off of it based on their drawing of Nausicaa or something. Even that's fan made. I made that one, and this is official. And that's a play back there. But yeah, totally get that. I totally get that feeling. I'm sure, but binging is easier, but also lacks the community, even if people aren't saying much interesting. That's the thing with me. I know that the things that I'm watching, like Nadesco and Doogram, it's not like an active community I could go out and talk about it with, and I'm okay with that. I'm at peace with it. It's for my own fascination, basically. I mean, that winds back to Edge Runners being its 15 minutes of fame, reaching its 15 minutes of fame. Potentially. It's also just going to get buried with all the fall seasonals, and that's just the circumstance. But also, don't write it off completely, because it did get a lot more than most Netflix shows get. All things considered. A lot of other Netflix anime have come out and have not made a fucking peep compared to Edge Runners. To be fair, Nadexo's ending does suck. That's because the director told Aikawa to save the ending for a Sega Saturn game, because he wanted to make a multimedia franchise. It's untranslated. Yeah, I think I heard something about that. So I was kind of expecting that with Nadesco. Still wasn't good. Yeah. Are we talking to Outbreak Company or what? They just mention it as a reference to something. I should point out that Nadesco movie is written by the director, not Aikawa, and the drop in writing quality is very noticeable. I didn't think the writing was the problem or the highlight for it. I could kind of take or leave the writing personally. It was just the certain things that happened in it and the direction it went. It wasn't something I was into, or just wasn't something I was like all that impressed by. So I saw it and I'm like, yeah, I can see people being impressed by that. I'm not. You need to do more than that to like actually impress me. And the art was not great. I will say, I get people are fans of Xebec, and I guess the ship and the mecha designs are cool, but like I thought I could be charmed by the character designs. Not really, and it's especially noticeable when they're off model. And I'm usually not one to nitpick that, but like Nadesco in particular has such distinct eyes, and they're so like. It doesn't help that the ED starts like that. It's like the ED just has that face. It's just like. But then like when it's off model, it looks not great. I'm just like, ooh, it's unfortunate. Anyway, Edge Runners had the marketing and big name studio momentum and CD Projekt Red. Well, yeah, it's not just the studio, but Imaishi in particular. But it doesn't help that it was also good. Like, people actually watched it and were like, no, that was great. That was fantastic. And it was fantastic to people that would think it's good. The people that have that platform that are going to check that thing out. Like, I don't expect Gigic and, like, these other people making these Edgerunner videos, or Scamboli, for whatever, to watch fucking Orbital Children. I don't expect it. I'm sorry. It's got, doesn't have the same whatever IP or whatever, but it also just doesn't have that very on its face noticeable quality that are going to make people want to check it out. But then it's the initial word of mouth. If it did not have good initial word of mouth, if it wasn't actually good, people wouldn't have made that many videos on it. People wouldn't have. I don't know. I think it's going to last a little longer than people realize. It also has things like it was designed in such a way. The studio, Yo-Yo Shinari, very good character designer for a reason, and he has at least 2 very good character designs that are now getting a ton of fan art, and I do count that as a signifier of widespread acclaim and popularity. Artists are not going to want to like draw some rando character from Orbital Children. I'm sorry. I still think Nadesco is a major step up from his previous work, Genocyber. At least it's not just a bunch of edgy nihilistic nonsense. Oh, I get that. I don't think it's bad. I don't think Nadesco is bad at all. And like I said, it was actually very close, teetering on good. Just to me, it didn't click for me as someone's like, I liked that. It just didn't have that for me, unfortunately. I didn't like Orbital Children. Maybe that's just me. Oh, that's the thing, yeah. That's the other thing. It wasn't like super, super, super good. It has to be like fantastic, but it's also not that well rated either. Just the rich quality get richer, while other things don't even get the chance. Yeah, I get that. I get that. I feel like it's a case by case basis. You have to go case by case. So with JoJo, it's the sixth part, and they're releasing it a third at a time. It's not the play, Chief. It's just not the play. 6 also isn't even like the most anticipated. Like 7 is the one that, like, if it was 7, I think it might have more of a shot. But 6 is not that well regarded in the grand scheme of JoJo. I know some people like part 6. I did not hear many good things about it before it came out. Worldwide, the most crucial technological component of modern fandom is the internet, with the former magazine subcultures now largely migrating to websites such as Anime News Network, and online discussions, forming a community that can often feel, for good or ill, like a permanent convention. That's fair. Fandom remains the implied audience for all anime, but the most mainstream of titles, the investment population for most crowdsourcing initiatives, and the source of most internet discussions. It has also served as a recruiting ground for the staff of anime distributors, with many a professional admitting to a misspent youth as a fansubber or costumer. Fair. The size of fandom remains a contentious issue. The size remains a contentious issue? Since the catch-all term has always contained several overlapping groups. Fandom is certainly the most vocal of groups within the consumption of anime, and might reasonably be termed the tail that wags the dog in cases of small interest products that might be expected to monetize solely through mail order or convention retail. However, fandom is demonstrably not the entirety of audience for anime, and is outnumbered by a youthful audience of casual viewers, many of whom might become true fans, and the channel surfers who bolster TV ratings. Unwary investors, led by incautious hype, have often assumed that the ratings and box office for the biggest anime franchises equates with a potential market for all anime, regardless of genre or quality. In fact, it is a fallacy to believe that 10,000 Californians dressed as Naruto for a single weekend will directly translate into sales. I mean, it was still a popular success anyway, but I digress. I think that's a monochrome of, I think it's a sign. It's not going to direct, like, sure, they have a point. That's not, they need more evidence than that, but, like, that certainly doesn't help. That certainly doesn't hurt. 10,000 Californians dressed as Naruto, that certainly doesn't fucking hurt. Or that an internet poster's professed love of any given franchise will ever monetize. For sure. Totally get that. There's going to be a lot of interesting stories about this title that's, like, very well regarded, very critically praised, the GOAT, they might say, and is not going to translate to sales. Unfortunately. Oh, great. Everyone has their Johto take now. I hope this doesn't affect Part 7. Those horses are going to need a lot of money. I hope they're OVAs. I hope they're really, like, movie-length OVAs or something. Not a TV series. 6 had better things to said than Part 5. I guess so. Unpopular JoJo opinion, I think 6 is just as good as 7. 5 was pretty much salvaged by an anime because of how much fights are bettered by being animated. I also feel that the screenwriter fixed a lot of Araki's writing flaws, making GER less ridiculously broken. JoJo was getting better with some part for me until Part 5, which I didn't like as much. 6 still feels like it's in that ditch for me. I still put 6 above the middle ground up JoJo. But on the other hand, that ending burnt really bad. I didn't even hate it that badly. The shame is that Part 6 really could have used a great anime to air to show the best parts of it because it's a little jank. But then the 6 anime is too fast and with mixed aesthetic. I hope the Part 6 gets fixed for the Blu-ray. Not all adaptations will be 4, but I don't know. Just not fair that it had to turn out like this. And I believe it has something to do with Netflix scheduling. Maybe. No skin, no sweat off my back, fellas. 4's the only one for me. 4 is all I need. God damn it, it's been 2 hours. I'm just reading this fandom one and that's it. Okay. Modern technology, which has inadvertently allowed the innocent tape swapping and lending of early fandom to transform into an informal distribution network of permanent, perfect copies, has placed many fans in the ironic position of being blamed for the collapse of the very medium they profess to love. Who's blaming them? Oh. To transform it into an informal distribution network of permanent, perfect copies. They're talking about piracy and torrenting. I see. Has placed many fans in the ironic position of being blamed for the collapse of the very medium they profess to love. Fandom has also been blamed, somewhat unfairly, for a mindset among producers that equates any tropes and shows aimed at the lowest common denominator to be intended for fans. Yeah, I can kind of see that. Hence the concept of fan service, argot and jargon, in which the most puerile excesses and panderings of certain shows are excused as being the result of audience demand, itself mistakenly implying that fandom is a single-minded entity that can be appeased by such one-size-fits-all concessions. I like that point at the end there. The definition of fan service not being just the existence of it, but calling it that, meaning that, like, oh, this is fan service, it's for this nebulous group of fans that are gonna like it. Oh, boys like boobs or something. When it's like, I mean, we just saw that the West, the market, I guess that's because the Japanese market's 88-12, but like, this idea that just because it's sexual, that means that, oh, it was made there for fans, or, I mean, not necessarily. That doesn't necessarily mean that fans actually wanted it in the first place. You think of how many fans actually complained about it. It's an interesting concept. I'm not to say that this is what they're saying, but it makes me think, is something fan service if it's not effective? It's like if a tree falls in a forest and no one's there to hear it, doesn't make a sound. If fan service doesn't properly function as fan service, is it even fan service at all? What do you guys think of that? Am I cracked? Am I being too? Is this fucking your mind? I don't know. What do you guys think of that? If the fan service isn't good, or it doesn't actually properly work as fan service, is it even fan service at that point? Joe from Vinesauce shares your opinion. Lol, cool. 4 is king. Truth. Just want 8's Beatles Sumo stand fight to be adapted, not even the rest of JoJolion, just that one. 4 and 5 are just what part 3 should have been. Do Japanese anime fans like fan service more than we do? I think that's the bigger question. I couldn't tell. That would be hard to say. But that was pretty much the end of their article on fandom. Not bad. I especially like the beginning part, before they get into the Western anime fandom. All of that beforehand, perfect. So good. So additive. Big fan. Well, that was about 2 hours. And I'd like to cut it off there, fellas. I'd love to chat some more, but, if you want to hear more of my voice, and you're a patron, 3 hours are waiting for you. Including an hour-long not good. Some do. But I'm reading on Yatsura about how Japanese audience wanted sexy but chaste. Kind of pure waifu. Yeah. Even Japan thinks Aiken sucks. Right. That's the thing. You know what I mean? Good night. Alright. I'll call it there, fellas. I really gotta go. You guys, hope you enjoyed that, and you have a good week. Yo, peace. Damn it, I didn't have the right button. Yo, peace.